There it is. We're here. We are here for the Melbourne Storm versus the Gold Coast Titans match round 21 preview. On the screen, you do obviously have the Melbourne Storm lineup. You've got Tyron Wishart at fullback, Nofaluma and Leremia on the win. You've got Marion Seve and Grant Anderson in the centres. The number 6, Cameron Munster. The number 7, Jerome Hughes. Jesse Bromwich and Harry Grant wrapping up the 8 and 9. Nelson, we'll get to this in a second, if he should have been playing, what your thoughts are on that, but he's number 10. Felice Kafusi, 11. Kenneth Bromwich, Josh Kinn. Brandon Smith, in a massive boost, returns to the bench after telling the refs exactly what they are. Tui Kamikamika, Tom Eisenhuth, Chris Lewis, and number 18, Alex MacDonald. Baxter, again, I will throw it to you first. The Storm did break their 4-game losing drought. They are facing a Titans side that, let's just say, most New South Wales Cup sides would probably have their way with them. Let's talk about, we won't talk about the game just yet. We'll talk about Melbourne Storm's lineup. What do you see there? And I guess, what are your impacts? Obviously, Nofaluma does make his club debut. Brandon Smith obviously does return to the squad. Not on the screen because he was listed at number 20 is Xavier Coates. He is listed at number 20. What are your thoughts on the squad, and do you think Xavier Coates could be a late call-up?
Yeah, I think he will be called up. Just looking at their, so obviously their backline 1 to 5, there's not really, to me, there's not much experience there in the NRL across those 5 players. So I do believe he might come into the game, be replaced at the last minute. Obviously, you got David Nofaluma there on club debut, as you said, but he's not the Storm level just yet. Obviously, he can prove me wrong, and I'll eat that humble pie next week if he does prove me wrong. But that's my worrying for Melbourne Storm. Yes, they snapped their 4-game losing streak, but it was to the Warriors, and they didn't really look dominant in that game. Yes, it was only a 2 converted try, the difference. So I was expecting more from the Storm, but look, you got to, if there's one thing from Melbourne Storm, it is their pack again, and you just have to look at it. You know, Bromwich, Graham, Nelson, Kafusi, Bromwich, and King. That is a strong pack, and I think they can run away with it, especially with Brandon Smith making his return from his 3-game suspension to come on probably the 28th minute mark, give Harry a spell and open this game up for what it's worth. And I will tip the Melbourne Storm here and in a 13+ line. And yeah.
Well, I guess like when you look at obviously Brandon Smith, he could come on for Harry Grant. He can obviously play in that lock position. So we don't exactly know what position is going to come in. I think Bellamy will make that call, but I'm going to turn your attention to the number 10, on the screen, Nelson Solomona. Now, he was charged twice. One was an elbow, one was a high shot. Did you happen to hear the NRL response that they did give at the match review committee in regards to that?
Yeah, I did hear it from Luke. I think it's Luke Ricketson. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Tony, if that is the bloke that said it, or is it Luke Patterson? I'm not too sure, but I know his first name's Luke. Yes, I did hear it.
And yes, obviously, I'll bring you up Kenties.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll bring you up Kenties. Obviously, the match review committee has said there is separation out there, and I think Paul Kent summed it up perfectly where he said, well, if I was going to punch you in the face right now, there's going to be separation between my fist and your face before I hit you. So I think that was a bit of a weird call. They then went on to say there wasn't enough force to warrant a charge. Now, this poor player from the Warriors has 2 cracked teeth. So if you're telling me there's not enough force to charge someone, yet he has 2 cracked teeth, where's the force for one? Then they've gone and said there wasn't sufficient high contact. Okay. Why does the guy have 2 cracked teeth if there wasn't high contact? So I guess, what were your thoughts on that? And again, Hargraves, if this was Hargraves, he'd probably be in prison right now because he got a $3,000 fine for a little elbow rub. Nelson's gone and broken someone's teeth and didn't even get a fine.
Yeah, I could sort of, I sort of when the NRL first made their statement, and obviously listening to Kenny on NRL 360, I sort of took it away and I sort of agreed with Kenty, but I can also see the NRL sort of their argument, not their logic, but their argument, did he come in with brute force? Like, obviously, yes, he's dropping straight down, but is he intending to hurt the Warriors player who ended up cracking 2 teeth? You could argue that, but it should have gone to the judiciary and talked out there, because he's had 4 finable offences this year and hasn't missed a game. Now, how many times do you need to be fined little things before you start missing games? And again, this is something maybe the NRL needs to sit down and go, well, if we want this out of our game, we've got to start handing out harsh penalties early on.
But you use that word intent, and the NRL obviously in their defense said there wasn't intent. But to me, if you're breaking someone's tooth, there's got to be intent there. Like let's look at obviously Carrigan. I don't think there was intent in Carrigan. He's sitting out for 4 weeks. I don't think there was intent in what's his name? In Cleary. He's sitting out for 5 weeks. Like, both those players had different injuries. Obviously, Dylan Brown gets up, nothing wrong with him. Cleary cops 5 weeks. Nelson cracks a guy's tooth. He's got to go off for a HI, and then the NRL turns around and goes, independent doctor, you were wrong. There isn't enough contact with the head. But that's a debate for another day. I'll pop the second team up on the screen for you now, because you are up with the away teams for this week. It is the Gold Coast Titans. It is up on the screen. Take it away.
Obviously, you got Campbell in the fullback role. You got Fafita and Patrick Herbert in the wings. You got Kelly and Sammy in the centres. You got AJ Brimson and Tanner Boyd in the halves there. You got Aaron Booth at hooker. You got Big Tino and his mate that I'm not even going to pronounce in the front row. You got David Fafita finally starting a game, and Bo Fermo in the back row. And then you got Aaron Clark to pack the lock. And then you got the bench, Greg Mazhiu, Esse, Isaac Liu, and Jolie Fee. Oh, man, my pronunciation is terrible. Don't ever get me to pronounce bad names again, Tony. Look, this team isn't up to NRL standards in my eyes. Like, it's just a bunch of just players just put together to make a squad. Obviously, they've got problems in the back room. Coaches being assistant coaches being let go halfway through the season. What are you supposed to do? You change things in the back room, but yet the same old poor performances happen on field. So is it time for the players to be accountable and start moving on, or?
Well, I'll ask you a question. I'll let you go again. You know what you don't do when you've got all these things happening? You're battling for a wooden spoon. You don't rest Toby Sexton. There's 5 games to go. He's not playing football in September. Why in the world are they resting Toby Sexton because he's played every game this year? Get him on the field. Try and avoid the wooden spoon. So I guess what's your thoughts on that? Do you start to rest players because they've played every game, or do you say, listen, boys, you've got 5 games left and your season's over. Just get through it and move on?
I know what your answer will be, and it's exactly like mine. Avoid the wooden spoon at all costs, and you try and put your best squad out there to avoid that first wooden spoon for your club. And look, as you said, Toby Sexton, he's been the man of the Gold Coast Titans season. So why is he being rested? I don't know. There can only be one person to answer this, and that is the coach.
100%. And the last thing I'll probably get your thoughts on before we do jump on and you do give your final prediction, if you are going to stick with 13 plus, and I'll give you mine, is obviously number 9, Aaron Booth. He was involved in an incident last weekend with Tarpany. Arguably, you probably could have argued that Tarpany did get hit with a cannonball tackle. He turns around, he throws a punch, he gets sent for 10, and Booth doesn't even get a fine. Now, we talk about intent. Again, players getting injured, players not getting hurt. Tarpany's standing there. There's already 2 players holding him, and Booth just comes flying across and takes him up slightly above the kneecap. So by the rules, it was above the kneecap. It shouldn't be a penalty, but is the third man in something we've got to start getting out of that game, or is it the third man comes in and they can't go to the ground? Only the first two can make the tackle. The third man is only there to hold him up.
I'm happy with 3 men in the tackle, but when you've got 2 men up top and the tackle, like Jackson Hastings, like this one, the momentum of the attacking player had stopped. There was no way he was going to go forward or anything. The third man in is a tackle technique designed to slow the player ball down. Obviously, you're now on the ground and you've got to get up and play the ball. And there's a potential knock on there by the attacking player who's going to ruck the ball out. But look, when you, as I said, when you've got 2 players, defending players tackling up top, there shouldn't be a third man in. If there is, mate, you know how you rule this, you quickly get this out of the game. The referees start just sending that third bloke off.
Well, I'll just show you. I'll pop it on the screen for you, Baxter, just while you're talking over it. Obviously, that is the hit right there. Obviously, you can see there is 2 players holding him flat. And this guy's kind of just gone straight just above the kneecaps to try and hurt someone. So I think that still image right there, yes, it's a still image, but there's not much tapping he's going to do there. Maybe he might get an offload, but you're just asking for an ACL to get snapped there, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, and we talk about, the NRL talk about the players looking after one another, and you know you got the players union mob there. They want to look after all the players. So why are they allowing other players to hurt other players in this type of incidents? Obviously, we've seen as again Hastings ACL gone. See you later. This could have been another one, and we could have been seeing two players sitting on the sideline for 4 weeks. So I believe get out of the game and you start going harsh. Look, we've seen it with the head high tackles in Magic Round last year, where they just started sending blokes. Maybe we've got to do it, and we've got to continue to keep that standard.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll pull us back on the screen just as we close this off. Obviously, this was the Storm versus Titans. You've gone, I'm assuming you're sticking with that 13+ prediction?
Of course. I'm sticking with a 13+ by the Storm.
I'll tell you, I am looking at this game and I've said it a few times, I'm throwing out the 20+. I think Melbourne are honestly, I think the line was at 42.5 for total points over and unders. It would not surprise me if Melbourne get that alone, if I'm being completely honest. And this is one of those games where if you're sitting in the top 8 and you're going, we really wish Melbourne didn't have this game leading into the finals, because this is going to get them the momentum. They're going to keep going. Brandon Smith's going to be an absolute bulldog coming into this game. So Melbourne 20+. Obviously, this is the review. If you did like it, we are going to do this for every game. And please keep in mind, we did get
This is the preview, not the review.
Preview, sorry. We did get some comments last week saying, this person's not playing. This is recorded at Team List Tuesday. It is what's up to date. We do release them just before the games, but they are all recorded in one night. So there might be a few people that moved around positions, but obviously, please keep in mind that it is recorded early. And obviously, we have been the Gone for 10 show. We'll be back very soon with arguably the game of the round, Manly taking on the Parramatta Eels.